Yamahwefo ina akwaba na yɛmfa mbra mega TV yɛn platform we ɛso Nyankopɔn enkoso a ehyira obibia na wunim Endra ena yewra John Dramani Mahama yɛn president eba abonten ɛde ne envelope a ɛkyerɛ the assets the japade a ɔwɔ ɛde ma the auditor general what I say na ɛhɔnom na ɔka to aso ɛna ɔka sɛ the appointees no anase anybody who holds a public office biano should also do the same as the constitution demands. In fact, deadline is 31st of March 2025. Into him one say first quarter of the year no and a year deadline. Na we na nkomodidi aba abonten Ghana for bebre egbisa se sa declaration of assets ade bia omoka enso yenye hu mimi no me sure se wa wo hwɛ mi unye hu se esimesi aba ena osi na japade di wei obentina ba ono nso si na japade di wei I think say munye hu sa ade ni bi enti what is the point say de bia aban sisa aban isia obisi be declare asset be say abusia am say ye dada ye ho bebre ye dada ye ho e woni ma bi ho we na Kwesi Pratt uncle Kwesi Pratt junior ebisa se sa nema we the constitution needs to be amended e wo say ye nsachiraye e fa sa nema we and this is not the first time I may mega make ho ase I have sat on this platform on several occasions. I'm making it clear. So that declaration of asset, is needless in that manner because how omo declare no omo say public. Won say you John Muhammad the envelope na command obi nim the wom or the ama aye auditor general. Auditor general so e be declare ni the ama. Enti ehwan Ghana fo aye di muma ye muam sa position no Ghana fo edi mu si sa akonkon no ena we so declare asset e de kire ye enti se mo ntimi declare kire ye me hu die woma eno no ye koya na e bai what kind of declaration is that abusia yenko take anko Kwesi Pratt ye ko ba edina kanyina e beto aso ye best so be subscribe to the channel na like dwumadi na wa share na foforo
We should be worried because it could very soon be reduced to the level of parliamentary elections. It could be monetized. It could lead to all kinds of things.
We're there already. Look at what happened at Shanti
elections. I'm being very careful.
We're there already.
I'm being very careful. You understand? And then all manner of people can, through the procurement of influence, end up on the Council of State.
Yeah.
It's very worrying. You understand? I mean, I'm sure that all of you are aware of the various rumors that I do not want to repeat about how one or two persons got elected onto the council. Frightening. So when you get to the point where election to the Council of State is influenced by the size of the pockets of those who are contesting, then we are in trouble. You understand? Then we are in very serious trouble.
What caliber of people are we appointing to
exactly.
the Council of State?
And as things stand, the Council of State is seen as a body which will have very experienced people who understand how the public sector works, people who themselves have gained tremendous experience in their lives and so on. I'm not so sure that going forward, that is what is going to be the Council of State.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. Because nothing prevents a 24-year-old boy who has just graduated with no work experience and so on
to contest.
and whose parents have a lot of money, ending up as a member of the Council of State. And that's my worry.
There's a 32-year-old person in there.
Yeah, he's in there. He's in there. I mean, look, there's something structurally wrong with the model. You know, I mean, how did we as a state, and I don't know what the intention of the crafters or the drafters of our constitution were. I mean, how do we as a people decide that we're looking for wise experience, as Uncle Kwesi said, people who have been through life have some experience to share, and to counsel our president and parliament and the judiciary and some other state organs? How do we then decided that as a people, let's go and vote for them? When we know that elections do not necessarily produce, you know, wise people. It just produce, most of the time we end up producing people who are the most popular and the people who have the money.
But in those times,
you know,
I remember.
How? What were we thinking?
I remember during the referendum of 1992.
Yes.
28th of April. I remember that time I was at Ashanti Newtown. We were all asked to go and vote yes. Because and others, we should go and vote yes.
No, I said we should vote no.
Oh, really?
Myself, Akoto Power, and a few others objected to this constitution.
But the yes votes were
the entire constitution.
Yes, we insisted that we should reject the constitution.
Yeah. What was the reason at the time?
Well, we had come up with a formula for the transition.
Okay.
And the formula we had come up with for the transition was to have a neutral body taking over from the PNDC, you know, and administering the transition.
Okay.
You know. So one of the formulas we had worked out would have seen the Chief Justice as interim head of state and so on. And all those were rejected. And then there were aspects of the Constitution that we were very uncomfortable with. For example, the aspects of the Constitution which dealt with assets declaration and which excluded spouses and so on. So we actually felt that this Constitution
was not fit for purpose.
Rejected. But then the people that we're working with, people like Professor Dubois-Hine and others, actually wanted this Constitution voted for. And the argument was that, look, let's vote for the Constitution. When we get power, we can change it. And we've had power for how long? And the Constitution is still there.
So it was like a no vote would have delayed the transition process.
Right.
So we went and voted yes.
Yes.
But I also think at that time, maybe because Uncle Kwesi and others were deeply involved in the process, monetization in our politics was not known at that time. I didn't see that. So the framers of the Constitution didn't envisage that a time will come that our electoral process will be influenced by this level of monetization. And for me, that is worrying. Something must be done intentionally to eliminate or reduce to the barest minimum how money influences our elections. A time will come, if you don't have money, you can't be elected into any public office. You need to look at the Constitution and our electoral laws. Is it possible that we can even make paying monies to influence voters a punitive sanction? Can we be explicit that should you spend beyond a certain level, ABC will be the consequences? Very harsh one. I don't know how this can be operationalized. You check the CI 127. Nothing talks about punitive measures when it comes to influencing electoral officer. You go to the Criminal Offences Act of 1960. Even in there, it talks about gifts with the intention of influencing. That is when you can be found culpable to the law. So it means that if the gift is not seen to have influenced anything negative, then nothing happens to you. So you must be clear in our laws, and this can be done. If something drastic is not done, it's going to get worse. Council of State elections, monies became a tool of getting some persons elected.
The irony is that this is supposed to be a state organ or a state institution that's supposed to serve as the moral conscience of this country, Ghana. Moral conscience. And you look at how they got there.
Yeah, but I'm saying that is the norm now. How do we deal with it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, Parliament, I was saying that the next CI for our elections, there should be serious amendments. And President Mahama has put together a committee to look at review of the Constitution. I was thinking that this is one too many. We had several reviews. Nothing gets done about that, okay? Professor Mills, the late, there was a Constitutional Review Committee. Recently, Chairman Sabunsu, our reviewer majority leader, also put together a committee to deal with the Constitution. Another one, we keep expending scarce resources.
But interestingly, Ghanaians say they want it, except that they would wish that the president's powers of electing 11 must be reduced to 5. But in principle, they think that the Council of State is fine.
But if you look at the composition, those who are appointed, it gives you the discretion.
Yes.
If you wish the country well and yourself well as the president,
yes,
to appoint persons who are competent and well deserving. At least I've worked a bit, okay, with Justice Sophia Adinyara. When I was at NAB, we went on inspection. She was in my team, and I saw the level of her knowledge. I mean, she's somebody who deserves to be there. And they had those who are appointed, like Kosipad mentioned, Do Ajaho. You can carefully, because getting people into elected position shouldn't necessarily be based on elections. There could be well-established criteria to get the best for us. Okay, so electing one person from each region. Now we are 16. That's why we are 16. If in future we decide
to add more regions,
I mean,
the numbers will keep growing.
So it's going to get murkier. But I wouldn't say that the Council of State is just a ceremonial entity. They have useful functions that they play.
Doesn't it look more like a potentially useful function rather than because in terms of the functional relevance, look, can us sitting here, can we remember one single intervention that the Council of State has done?
But you see,
for us to say that, look, okay, we may not be particularly impressed with their work, but at least for this particular singular reason or reasons, let's keep them.
There are a lot of.
First of all, the Constitution itself,
yes,
requires the Council of State to work more or less in silence.
Yes.
So all of its meetings are in camera.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So it's not supposed to be a noisy organization telling us about what it has done and so on.
Yes.
So if we cannot point to what they have done, it is not necessarily an indictment.
But Ogosi, you just cited an example earlier. You cited an example earlier with the Electoral Commission. Our expectation is that if indeed we had a functioning Council of State, we should have seen some action at the time.
But you see,
so yes, I agree that they are supposed to be working silently, but we're judging them based on outcomes.
Tomorrow, we must also credit them with good faith.
Yes.
Okay, they might not get everything right. It doesn't mean that they are not useful recommendations and suggestions that they give to the president. They will do, but wouldn't hear. The fact that the EC one didn't see any reason.
Doc, I'm just asking, are you feeling the impact of the Council of State, the existence of the Council of State? For me, that's the issue. Are you feeling their impact? And if we're not feeling their impact, what is stopping us from feeling the impact of the Council of State?
They are supposed to advise the president, ministers of state, and the rest. But my only challenge is that ministers and those they advise are not bound to implement their recommendations.
According to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's even the Constitution.
Yes,
it's correct.
Yes, and I'm sure the Supreme Court has interpreted it.
Yeah.
Yes.
However, they play useful roles when it comes to making of bills, controversial issues and all that. They work with the president. So they advise the president. The president wouldn't come and tell you that I asked the Council of State to do ABC for me and this is the outcome. Okay, so I wouldn't rubbish them. Maybe we can impress upon them to, let's say, for want of a better word, be more proactive and do more, okay, to ensure that this country moves quickly in terms of our developmental aspiration. We need the Council of State. We need them to do to advise the president and all that. That's what I'll say about that.
Oh, well.
For me,
I'm just saying that.
If you look at Article 92(3) of the Constitution, it's clear. The Council of State shall hold its meetings in camera, but may admit the public to any meetings whenever it considers it appropriate. It's clear.
It's clear.
It's supposed to be a quiet organization.
Okay, so I understand that, Dr. So if you're a quiet organization, and by the very laws that establishes you, says that the president is not bound to take the advice of the Council of State, Council of State members. And then you have the public asking, do we have a Council of State in this country? Do we have a Council of State in this country? Are they seeing what is happening? And how do you feel if you're a member of the Council of State and you're being lampooned and lambasted and criticized this way, when indeed your hands are tied because you may have said the president should go this direction, and the president says, I exercise executive authority and power, so I decide what I want to do. How does that make you feel as a Council of State member?
But you don't expect the president to accept any recommendation from them. The president will also have his own judgment.
So what are they doing there? I mean, if you're looking for if you're looking for wise heads, and as I like how to put them, or some council of elders that you want to run some, you want to run some issues by because you want some wise counseling. They're all over the place. You can just put a phone call through to them, and they will advise us to what to do. But if you have a situation where now we have institutionalized it, and the people whose taxes are being used to pay them are the same people who are asking, do we have an existing and a functional Council of State? Why is A happening? Why is B happening? Why is C happening? And I'm saying that it hasn't come to a point where we should all be asking ourselves, what are they doing?
Remember, at the 8th Parliament,
yes,
when Speaker declared our side as the minority, do you know the kind of work the Council of State did?
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, it was in the media. They met the Speaker. They had engagements and all that. It was...
No, I know about the engagements.
Yeah, they did that. That was how...
But how impactful were those engagements? That's what I'm saying I don't know.
I mean, as for the impact, I cannot measure. But we can also sit here and say that the deliberations and engagement didn't yield to anything. Okay, where you work, you go for meetings, management meetings. Is it everything that you say that the MD here takes? But the MD would take some of your views. But there are some instances that, your MD might disagree with you. It doesn't mean that you're not making sense. Maybe the MD might be making much sense than you or otherwise.
So sorry to speak, but I have a bit of a challenge with the analogy. I'm just saying that, look, I'm not being paid to advise my MD. Somebody is being paid to enable our president, Chief Justice, Speaker of Parliament, or so, to make qualitative decisions that impact positively on our lives. And we've sat here and in fact, I don't even want to give a lot of examples, but Uncle Kwesi just told you that there was one particular thing that he felt very, very disappointed in the Council of State. It has to do with members who were appointed onto the Electoral Commission who were clearly, evidently, card-bearing members, and yet they were quiet.
But Uncle Kwesi mentioned one. Listen, he gave one instance.
Yes.
You cannot use an instance to make a conclusion.
I can assure you that if I gave Uncle Kwesi time, he can give a tall list of them.
No, but I'm saying that
even though in principle, he still agrees.
In this instance, he gave an instance. But there could be other instances where right decisions or advices were given. Me sitting here, I have difficulty in accepting that if you are a politically exposed person, you can't hold...
Don't serve on the council.
Or any public office. I have a difficulty because I feel that you must judge persons based on what they do, not necessarily what they are, in terms of political color. So are you saying that if there's an NDC person or CV person who is competent and can discharge their duties professionally, that person is not qualified to hold any public office?
Okay.
We appointed Jane Mensah, Bosman and Co. But look at the outcome of the election. The NDC won convincingly. The first time we've recorded, but the NDC had issues with the EC. They thought that the UC was going to be in bed with the NPP, but they had 183 seats. So, for me, we have to be very careful. Let us go for competence. Unless we can prove that what the person is doing is against their sworn oath or the requirement of their job. Okay. Otherwise, a time will come that some of us, when I quit politics, and I have some competence to help this country in a different capacity, are you going to say that because Kingsley is NPP, he cannot, despite the fact that he has that unique qualities? Is that what you are saying? But I mean, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. Otherwise, we'll be doing this country.
Well, I also think that, look, your ability to deliver is as equally important as the perception of where you belong.
Oh,
it's as equally important.
These opinions,
anyway, so let me just let's do this. I want us to move to next to, or it's as equally important as your biases. But anyway, so let's get on with our final story before we end the program. Now, before I do that, let me just say that Honorable Austin Game and the Traditional Council of Chiefs and Queen Mothers of Volo are inviting all the Volo citizens living in Accra, Tema, Ashaiman, Kaswa, Juapong, Bong, Adeso, Koforidia, and Cape Coast to an emergency meeting at the St. Mary International School premises near the Ashaiman Night Market at 11 a.m. on Saturday, 22nd February 2025. The purpose is to discuss an urgent matter which cannot be postponed. Come prepared to enable us have a conversation about the way out of this looming trouble. God bless. Honorable Austin Game, 16 February 2025. So, Honorable Austin Game and the Traditional Council of Chiefs and Queen Mothers of Volo are inviting all Volo citizens living in Accra, Tema, Ashaiman, Kaswa, Juapong, Bong, Adesu, Koforidia, and Cape Coast to an emergency meeting at the St. Mary's International School premises near the Ashaiman Night Market at 11 a.m. on Saturday, 22nd February 2025. The purpose is to discuss an urgent matter which cannot be postponed. Please come prepared to enable us have a conversation about the way out of this looming trouble. God bless Honorable Austin Game. So if you hear this announcement, please tell your other colleagues and tell a friend to tell a friend of the Volo community to attend this all-important meeting, which is coming off on Saturday, this coming Saturday. Okay, I want us to look at, Doc, I want us to look at the issue about asset declaration. The conversation has also come back. It's not the first time, and it's back on the front burner again, and whether we can do more in giving true meaning and to the asset declaration regime. So if you look at page 13 of today's daily graphic, I'm still with the daily graphic. The President Muhammad declared
in public office. Their declarations will never become public. So what's the point?
Should we get there?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you want to occupy public office, there is the presumption that your life will no longer be private. And I think that's where we should get. You know, public office holders please understand that they can no longer hide under privacy provisions in the law and so on. And I think we should get there.
Okay.
If you don't want your life to be scrutinized,
stay in your private lane.
If you don't want your assets to be known and evaluated and so on, stay in your kitchen.
Doc, you agree?
I mean, yeah, this is that we all have to obey.
You declared your duty.
Yeah, at the 8th Parliament I did.
You did.
So I have 2 more months for me to do the one for this Parliament, and I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
But you're supposed to declare twice. You declare
at the beginning,
and then at the end of 4 years,
you declare.
It's mandatory to declare again.
Yeah, that's what the Constitution says. But
also, you declare 3 times.
But also, the opposite part. When I do what I'm going to do within the 3 months, I will have to add on any addition or subtraction that pertains to me. So I discussed that with a colleague, because you're going to do it again. If I were not going to go to Parliament again, then you do the second one as you are saying. But I'm going to go there again. So there will be an addition or subtraction per the new one. So, but asset declaration, normally the thinking or the perception is that it is only those of us who are politically exposed, MPs, ministers, and all that.
No.
Indulge me to read Article 286, Clause 5. Those who are supposed to declare their asset. The public offices to which the provisions of this article apply are those of A, the President of the Republic, B, the Vice President of the Republic, C, the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and a Member of Parliament. Then you come to D, Minister of State or Deputy Minister, E, Chief Justice, Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature, Chairman of a Regional Tribunal, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and his deputies, and all judicial officers. F, Ambassador or High Commissioner. G, Secretary to the Cabinet. H, Head of Ministry or Government Department or equivalent office in the civil service. I, Chairman, Managing Director, General Manager, and Departmental Head of a public corporation or company in which the state has a controlling interest. And J, such officers in the public service and any other public institution as Parliament may prescribe.
Okay.
So this is the gamut of those who are supposed to declare their assets.
SIC.
Yeah, so it's not only MPs or ministers.
Yeah.
It goes beyond that.
Yeah.
But normally the idea is that it's only us. So we must demand on all these institutions.
I don't think they've left out, have they?
No, but
maybe the focus of the conversation is usually on
we need to broaden it
deputy
to
president, vice president.
But most of these persons don't do. I'm telling you. So
they don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't.
But then that's the fault of the Auditor General. Then he's supposed to insist
yeah,
that they do.
But the Auditor General himself
Yes.
is also supposed to declare his assets.
Yes.
But he declares his assets to the President. And the President declares his assets to the Auditor General.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we must all meet this constitutional obligation. At least, if you're a public office holder, you should understand that you are being scrutinized by the public. So, whatever you do is not private no more, and we should be bold to let this down, to set example for others to know that any property or income that we got were legitimately done. The worry is that, as Kwesi said, when it is sealed, nobody opens it until something happens and you are being investigated. That is where the courts, the investigator track can request for its examination. If you can do more about it, I mean, why not? I mean, so this is what I would say about.
How about those who say that, you know, it's all well and good. I mean, in principle, it makes sense that as a public officer, you don't have the right to now say that because, for whatever reason, you want to keep your assets or liabilities private. You know, once you decide that you want to become a public officer, it means that you must be prepared to, you know, deal with the consequences of it. But there are some also say that when you do that, one of the dangers that could possibly be associated with it is that you then open up this person to all manner of unnecessary pressure. Because now I know you have 10 cars, you have 20 houses, you have 10 million cedis, $10 million in your account. So when I come to you now, you don't have a problem.
That's not the problem.
Really?
Declaration of assets would mean, for example, that if you have life insurance policy,
yes,
it should be declared. It's an asset.
True.
Yes. So if you have life insurance policy, the beneficiaries know how much they will gain if they kill you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So there are consequences.
Of course.
If you make it public.
Of course.
And it's only going to make your work much harder with the pressure from foot soldiers.
So why should we have it? So why should we have it in the first place if these negative consequences?
But do you think they are legitimate, valid concerns?
I mean, people have concern, but as long as you can justify how
you just talked about monetizing our politics. If you're going back as a member of parliament you're going to contest again as member of parliament for Kwadaso, and now the public knows you have 10 houses. I'm not saying you do have 10 houses, and now the public
the voters know what you have. Where from this accession? 10 houses.
No, I'm saying in case. I'm just assuming you had 10 houses.
I thought you said mostly.
Okay, so I'm assuming you had 3 houses, or whatever number of properties or assets that you have. That is now going to shape, or to some extent inform what the expectations should be in terms of what they expect from you. So if indeed in the beginning you say take 10 cedis for transportation, now when they take that 10 Ghana cedis, they'll say that you can't give more than that.
You see, we must also be very careful in suggesting that politicians have so much.
Well, that's the perception.
So some have so much.
Yes, some have.
Yeah, some have so.
Yes, I'm saying that we don't have to generalize it, because there are some who have.
You mean there are poor politicians?
Of course. You see, there are some who also do legitimate businesses. They are there. They seek permission from
the speaker.
Yes. Okay, Office of Profits, and they work. And we know some of them in Parliament who have a lot of resources. And there are some too who don't know how to do business and who don't also have much. Okay. So can you imagine somebody came to my house and said that, Member of Parliament, I get free provisions, I have security, everything free for me. And I said, where do you get this from? As Member of Parliament, I buy my own fuel, I pay my driver, my security, I pay my security from what I'm giving at the end of the month. It's when you're a Minister of State that we get some of these perks. Okay, but that is the perception there. Who gives me provisions? But it is out there. So everybody thinks that being a member of Parliament, you have a lot of money. And there is something that we must also educate the public about. That puts that undue pressure on us. And the impression we create that you go into public service to make money. Now, discussing with Uncle Kwesi that when your party wins power, people come to you and say that, oh, go for this ministry, go for the Jewish ministry. That's what people come and tell you.
Okay.
What is the mindset? Are you going into that particular ministry to work to improve upon that ministry and the fortunes of the economy, or you are going in there because there's something there that you're going to take?
Okay.
And this conversation comes from society.
Okay.
Then the society will turn around and accuse the politician of being corrupt. In fighting corruption, we must go beyond these legislations.
Okay.
We must go beyond these legislations and inculcate in the Ghanaian, especially the young ones, the need to be to be a patriot. They need to love your country. They need to do well for your country.
Okay.
They need to sacrifice and be selfless. Okay, if you're able to imbibe these values in our children, I'm sure that we should be able to have a rippling effect on our psyche and our minds.
Okay.
Corruption, people are going to find ways of dealing with that. That is why we have legislation. But the mindset, the values, I think will do us more good.
Two quick questions. And I'll be happy if we can exhaust it in just 5 minutes. But whilst at it, so two quick questions. One is that some people have a bit of a challenge with the March deadline. They feel it could have come a bit earlier. You know, why March? And that the fear is that some may even amass wealth quickly, and then it would find expression in their asset declaration
that
form.
In the 3 month
yes,
period,
there's some people who
they
are,
will grab so much.
Yeah. Some people have that genuine fear.
So how many months are they? So how many days are they suggesting?
And then again, no. I mean, some say some
look at the time.
two.
Look at the time the president is using to appoint.
And then my second question. Sorry, my second question before you come. My second question before. Again, when you look at the law, you just read it. It talks about declaring before you even assume office. So perhaps it's a bit belated. Even the terms.
No, it doesn't say so.
No, please look at it.
Within 3 months.
It's within 3
3
months.
months?
Within 3 months.
I thought it was before.
No, it's here. 2861. It talks about.
Go further down a bit.
No, it's
But before that, Ambassador Sampiale says, he says I should ask you this question.
How do you declare your assets before you assume office?
Office.
How do you know that you've been appointed to an office?
No, I mean, once you are in an acting.
Tomorrow, it says that a person who holds a public office mentioned in clause 5 of this article shall submit to the Auditor General a written declaration of all property or assets owned by or liabilities owed by him, whether directly or indirectly, within 3 months after the coming into force of this constitution or before taking office. As the case
before taking office.
Before taking office, as the case may be.
The 3 months refers to the coming into effect of the constitution. But in terms of the declaration of the assets itself, it's before taking office. You just read it.
Okay. No, I don't think it's practicable.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's what the constitution meant.
Before taking office.
So Ambassador Pierre is asking a question. He says, so what was the Honorable Kwadasu MP doing on the eve of the Jesu by-elections? One must be principled in acting what one says. The advice of the Council of State is not mandatory.
I'll answer the question.
Under a recalcitrant president, the council can be reduced to a docile assembly of eminent men and women.
Honorable...
this one, sorry, just one second. Good morning, Moro. Regarding asset declaration, what about public officers such as those in procurement offices and similar roles? I believe they should be required to declare the assets. That's where major issues often arise. Additionally, there should be a periodic lifestyle asset declaration to ensure ongoing transparency. It's one thing that wasn't indomitable. I said it time and again, that lifestyle audit. So it's not enough to just declare asset, but also watch the person's lifestyle even after the person has declared the asset, and then compare to what they claim they have.
In Ghana, everybody will go to prison.
If they do a lifestyle audit?
Yeah. How many people do you think in this country live on their legitimate earnings?
Very few. You're right, very few.
Maybe none.
If we want to be brutally honest.
So, no, let me
just a quick, I beg you. Mansa Musa is a regular viewer of the show, and he sent us a message. He says, the more let it be said clearly that fugitive or not, it is the overwhelming need or desire to get our monies back is overwhelmingly paramount. When people accepted the privileges and responsibilities of public office, they pledged to do good by us, and they accepted that in the absence of propriety, they would submit themselves for any appropriate public opprobrium. Enough of double speak and obfuscation. We need to know how and why our public finances are in such a mess. And that's the bottom line. Good morning from Mansa Musa in the UK. Mansa, good morning. I hope that you're doing very well. And finally, before you, because if I don't do this out, so this one, Alaji.
So, Yamfa credit, Emma, good morning, Ghana show. Moro, our host, Metro TV Ghana. Na, utiem komodidi a akoso anachese. Asem no krano. Ami se eye na adabi. Because obentini edi emblem beko. Esimesi di emblem beko. Openti di emblem beko. At the end of the day, edi ne we emblem podi. Yenim se we wo kadu. We wo edan mienu. Yenimo. We do not know. But yen so ya tudini say a declaration of assets. And yes no. Dini da so keke. And the idea Ghana any Africa you couldn't know. Yet me seti committee say the year hwehwemu. Ebe wi achi no na committee na ya seti a ye the year hwehwemu no. Na results be nyambai. Should I give you example? Hey. More examples is do you know why? IGP dampare na no mekan ye ni abra eniema akọ boni a ye ka ho asem no. IGP dampare ne nam enkonkwanu ase na auto dame. Papa we meaning the reasons why odasoti police service or minim say why Muhammad Drew say why denyo minim. But do you remember say you John the body Muhammad obaye na nche. I think so obaye after 2 weeks and okachire IGP dampare say 2020 killing no. Kichiman South, Okobono East, and in Patema. Or 2020 killing no. Onye den. Onye a who onye report. And family in 14 days. Abusia, enyanso yana. Midi mi bisa keke o. Akwa mega mano passem. 14 days ni nyanso yana. Because ye dia agro kruma ye dia agro change seriousness. The play is too much. It's too much than the seriousness. That is why o man we yem koyeni. And the man we said the ayi you confirm Yankopon kra ma se biebru se bienyado obey president. Na point is e between trying na mu. Enka president ne de oni problem biao. But enkofo obeyi yomo no. Sa enkofo no ena mo pado do di edi. Enti bi bisa sa IGP Dampare sa report na forensic report na Yewura John Mahama say yen o de kwa na o de kwa yen so ma Ghana fu hu ya na ibisa o mo kai se January mu oboase Anglo Gold Ashanti se mo kai boys na soldier fo no Anglo Gold Ashanti soldiers fo no omo kun mo te se ankokɔ no Yewura John Mahama e ka kire omo se omo nyi hwehwe mu up to na mate ho asema na me bisa o I am just asking, me de me bisa keke ebi a wate ho asem ba me dia metiwe minyante ho asem me a metiwe minyante ho asem enti den e koso Ghana asem ba ene ye beka sa da wikiri na ye beka the moment asem ne ye kasi ye no asem ye nka bio wodwin sa bu yobi do you think say wo yobi oman no e na mo bono no te ye kofa Yesu kura mane be yo mompanyina oman enye yeda o sisa osuban adamba popo change your attitude Ghana ni sisa osuban boni enye kura o sisa osuban na me program bo radio so no na yesu change your attitude Ghana ni sisa osuban boni die enye kura o sisa osuban enti suban ne enye suban ne enye enti yansesa you keep running in circles and this country will be there. You will not get tired. You go speak. Beka sasa kupinse. Ibehu se enima bi esesa. Enka John Dramani Mahama baye de enka he is on the right path. But enko foyo mudi na chi a wo from ho appointees. Sankofo we ena mo ba betwi na sari na chi and I am daring John Mahama. Say obi obedi nsamfo no yinedi. Wan yinedi a. Opanyini tina fie ma nanka. Kwada wiwia ye ba ye misa se hwan na wiye ye beka se panyini uni omunna na wiye enti Yewura John otina fie e ma wo kwada no appointees ni ese o man we ya se mreni duru na ye campaign na mreni duru na ye kasa you will speak against you and the obeshishi wa mo tiate enka besena ko dwamfu ni biu enti me de me kana maka ni biu appointees ni tuomofo. That declaration of asset, the constitution, it is stating it clearly. Statutory, and I'm a boy. La ilala, oh my kind, government teacher. Let me say, whom you hume. Hey, a teacher for the already. Yeah, Ghana, I don't see another topic. Ghana teacher ni business car talker, not didn't want to join politics. Yes, idea, Eddie say Ghana ni. We teacher near Ubini Scatoka, kind of got to na nebo again because I got your name yet. On my bank cranny, every didn't say, on my bank cranny, obey politician, a teacher, obey doctor, a teacher, obey even farmer, a teacher. I did be a ben who could be a teacher, so politician, a teacher, president, a teacher, one a teacher, so a didn't here. Hey, minka bio mabre kora mabre minka sa bio mabre abusua me ma biche ba fo yankopon hira ma me wo United States of America yankopon yo kese me ma me we bi wo UK yankopon hira me ma me we bi ahwe begati bi yankopon hira abusua mabre mo ma ba mabre yanka sa bio aden den na Ghana yempemfo beso mo ye aden mo beso mo bo man na minka sa bio abusua mo ma ba wa producer ji wo fidie ba ba